DeMar DeRozan went out there, did an interview with Lou Williams and talked about his future with the Chicago Bulls and can it potentially change? Could his destination change? So the question for today is, will resigning DeMar DeRozan help or hurt the Chicago Bulls? Y'all know we're going to talk about it and break it down, but you gotta hear the music first.
Cognac, gang.
Shy Boys Podcast with the Cognac Boys. I'm Cognac Boy Bobby, and I'm holding it down on today's daily episode. If you're tuned in with me today, make sure you hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and hit that notification bell as well if you like what you're hearing today. But hey, a lot of things going on this offseason regarding current Chicago Bulls players, draft prospects, etc., etc. And one guy I want to kind of focus on, just to kind of look at both sides of the spectrum, is DeMar DeRozan. Will resigning DeMar DeRozan help or hurt the Chicago Bulls? This thing can go either way. Not even gonna lie to you. When I go ahead and break it down, you let me know where you stand with this particular take, and I'm honestly in the middle, and I see both sides. Now, we talk about it. If the Chicago Bulls re-sign DeMar DeRozan, it could potentially hurt them. One reason it could potentially hurt them is because it can hit them pockets. It is being reported that DeMar DeRozan is looking for a long-term deal with about $40 million. Now, it sounds a bit crazy. It does. And when we talk about the financials of the entire deal with DeMar DeRozan, I said I will be okay with giving DeMar $40 million for 2 years only, because I think that at that point in time, Kobe White's contract will be up, Ayo Dosunmu's contract will be up, and then right there you can continue to make decisions to see how you can better this team. I understand a lot of us want to see the 180 and see the Chicago Bulls trend in the right direction. I am 100% with that. But I understand that you got to start to lay the foundation. Now, when we talk about it, $40 million is a lot of money. So it can absolutely hurt the Chicago Bulls in their pockets. It can absolutely limit what the Chicago Bulls can do when it comes to trying to acquire more players to better this team. But I also got to bring the question up. Is retaining him changing much from what Arturas Karnisovas told us, the Bulls front office, and what they wanted to do and go ahead and make sure that we change this? We heard the continuity talk. We heard the competitive talk. So is DeMar DeRozan, if you resign him, is that really changing much? So it could absolutely hurt him. It could absolutely hurt him, depending on if the Bulls give him the $40 million that he so desperately wants. Not so desperately, because I don't know. It's just all rumors. But it's something we absolutely have to think about. We have to talk about and see if this is what's best for the Chicago Bulls. I understand when it comes down to play style, there might be some limitations with having a DeMar DeRozan. The pace might not be so fast for the Chicago Bulls. They ranked at the bottom of the league in that. The offense might be a bit stagnant having a DeMar DeRozan. The offense might be a little limited with having a DeMar DeRozan in some aspects, and you absolutely have to talk about those things because, again, we want to see the Chicago Bulls be better. Now, when we talk about could re-signing DeMar DeRozan help the Chicago Bulls, it absolutely could. Just like it can hurt the Chicago Bulls, it could absolutely help them. And the reason why it can help them is because the mentorship that DeMar DeRozan has brought to the Chicago Bulls, we have not seen in a long time. We wanted Zach LaVine to step up as a leader, as a mentor. We have not seen it. At least I haven't. If you have, let me know, correct me down below. DeMar DeRozan has taken young players under his wing, worked out during the summer, attended some runs, taking part in certain events to get these young guys more acclimated to the NBA lifestyle to become true professionals. His leadership has stood out among everybody that's currently on this team. His leadership has stood out, regardless of as if it has been effective or not, because it really hasn't. 2 play-in exits, 1 playoff win. So, but I still got to say that at least this is one of the guys that's trying to have a good culture within this locker room, because I know Zach LaVine, he wants out. I know Nikola Vucevic did a lot of chirping, but he ain't did jack this season. So keeping a veteran like this guy could potentially help in those ways. I would say that if you keep DeMar DeRozan, you are keeping a consistent player when it comes to health, a top 20 scorer in this league statistically. Regardless of how you feel about him, statistically, since he's gotten to the Chicago Bulls, he's been top 20 in scoring. And he's a closer. What better way to continue to mold out a young team than to have somebody that they can lean on? For them, if Kobe White is not having it on a certain night, if Ayo Dosunmu is not having it on a certain night, you can hand the keys off to DeMar DeRozan and say, hey, take me to the hospital. Hey, take me to Goodwill. Hey, take me to Food Lion. Wherever you want to go, take me to Wally World. I don't care. You can still hand over those keys to DeMar DeRozan. And he has shown that he's capable of taking a back seat to letting the young guy shine. When Kobe White was going on his run and breaking records, DeMar DeRozan was taking the back seats on some of them nights. When Ayo Dosunmu had it going against certain teams, DeMar DeRozan was taking the back seat on those nights. So that's something that you have to consider. He's a willing guy, and when you need him, he can step up. He could be a pick-me-up type of guy. You know what I'm saying? Kobe White still trying to find his way in the NBA, or if whoever the Chicago Bulls draft, he's trying to find his way in the NBA, and they're having bad games. DeMar DeRozan can be the guy to keep you in the game or close the damn game. But the biggest question of them all, with looking at how it can help or how it can hurt, or if it will help or if it will hurt the Chicago Bulls, you gotta talk about the money first with DeMar DeRozan. My guy, 40 mil is a hefty tag. Not gonna lie. But I said this and alluded to it earlier within this episode. If the Bulls give DeMar a 2-year contract, 80 mil, will you guys be okay with that? Will you? Me personally, I don't think change happens overnight. It's not going to happen. So if you can align his contract up with some of your young guys that you have on this team, you can make some really, really good decisions, in my opinion. If you disagree, let me know. But I do believe that if you line DeMar up a 2-year contract, $40 million per year, by the time that contract's over, you make a decision if you want to let DeMar DeRozan retire as a Chicago Bull. You make a decision if you want to continue and extend Kobe White. You come to a decision if you want to look at Ayo Dosunmu. Notice I didn't bring up Nikola Vucevic by the end of his contract because his ass is grass. But nonetheless, you still get an opportunity to make decisions years down the road, but you still keep a valuable player within the organization that matches the timeline of some of your young guys. So if you have to acclimate or allocate more money to Kobe White and Ayo Dosunmu in the future because they are on relatively cheap deals, you let DeMar DeRozan part into the sun. You say kumbaya, thank you for your service, hand him his certificate for his service, and you send him on his way. And you never know. Maybe that time he might want to retire. But if he doesn't, and you got to allocate resources to your Kobe Whites of the world, who might earn himself some more money, or the Ayodosumu of the world who might want to stay a Chicago Bull, you will have extra money to do that. So I do understand that part of it because it's my opinion. Duh. But then I also got to look at it like, hey, what if you give DeMar DeRozan the 40 mil? Where do you go from there on trying to improve this team? Me personally, I don't think the Chicago Bulls are that far off. Not from championship contention, let's be clear. I'm talking about playoff contention. It's steps to this. No one is going to turn. The Chicago Bulls are not going to overnight turn into a championship contender. That's just how I'm looking at it. And I believe those are the facts. It doesn't happen overnight unless you buy your way into having some type of big three. And as of late, we have shown those don't even work anymore. So you got to take the steps necessary to build this thing out. Let's just say, for the sake of discussion, DeMar DeRozan sticks around for 2 years. Kobe White, he earns himself the most improved player, knocks on the door of an all-star game. Ayo Dosunmu is now a consistent six-man or a eventual starter now for your Chicago Bulls. And during that time, you see a little bit of playoffs. You let your young guys get a little bit of experience. You let them taste a little bit of victory. When DeMar DeRozan is gone, you might have you some dogs up in there, some young pups that didn't grew up in there. And hopefully you might find yourself the next eventual star in a Chicago Bulls uniform, because that's the ultimate goal. I understand we can look at a lot of different things. We can talk about a lot of different things. But the reason I will be okay with keeping DeMar DeRozan, depending on the money or the years, if you give him 40 mil, it's going to come down to the years for me. If you give him a long-term contract, it's going to come down to money for me. Let's make that clear. But I'm looking at it like this. Zach LaVine is about to be out the door. That should free up some money. And if it doesn't, well, it's not going to free up much money. Let's make that clear. But it's going to hopefully garner you some young talent and more draft capital. Now you're staying competitive, but you have additional capital and resources to allocate in other places and see if you can continue to build this up. Meanwhile, you're still letting your young Bulls be young Bulls and grow. I don't know. Maybe it sounds crazy. If it does, I don't give a damn today. It's okay. Talk to me tomorrow. Maybe I might care that it sounds a bit crazy tomorrow. But let me know your thoughts down below. Do you think re-signing DeMar DeRozan will hurt or help the Chicago Bulls? You already seen from the hurting aspect. You got to talk about money, players, schematics, everything, all that. How it can help. Talk about mentorship, leadership, being a consistent player, taking the back seat, etc., etc. Let me know your thoughts. That's what we want to hear right here on Shy Bulls Podcast. So let me know your thoughts, because I would like to keep him around. But it comes down to the money. I don't have a problem with keeping DeMar DeRozan around just a little bit longer. But it's going to, number one, come down to money. And then number two, come down to years. Now, if you out here as the Chicago Bulls, you go give him a Chris Paul type of deal when he was at the end of his damn career and you paying him, I believe, $160 for 4 years, I'm good. If you saying DeMar DeRozan, we're going to give you 2 years, hell, maybe even 3 with a team option on the last year, it's something I might have to consider. So let me know. Do I sound crazy? Do you agree with me? Do you disagree with me? I like to paint the picture from both sides, and I'm okay with being wrong. Let me know in the comment box below. But that is it for me today, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for tuning in to another episode of Shy Bulls Podcast. Let me know your thoughts and everything down below. Hit the like button, subscribe before you go. And you already know, before we get up out of here, I gotta let you know, I'm gonna catch you on our next one. for sure.
Cognac. Gang.